Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, for yet another playthrough of Fighting Fantasy Gamebook number 17. Yes, Appointment with Fear. F.E.A.R. That is. That is an acronym for Federation of Euro-American Rebels, which doesn't sound anywhere near as menacing as Fear. So let's call it Appointment with Fear. In this one, uniquely, you are a comic book style superhero. So in this one, it does probably say somewhere you are the hero, it says, but in this one, in fact, you are the superhero. And this is the super villain right here. This is the main guy, I think. I haven't met him yet. Um, right. So this is my fifth playthrough, is it? I don't know. I'll just count on these things. And I still don't feel like I'm that close to the solution now. I feel like there's still some paths that need to be explored. So I will look at my map, of course, as I'm playing today and make sure that I explore some of the venues I have not gone down so far. So without too much further ado, I will get started and get my things ready down on my desk. So I'll do my transition now. Ta-da! Boom. Okay, there we are. On my desk, and I've got my book, got my cup of tea, nice cup of tea, of course. Got my map and my character sheet to be. As I mentioned last time, I think my cup had a crack, so I had to use a different one last time, and this time I actually got one specially made. So you can see, got my logo on this now, the channel logo, and also put down a one of my catchphrases from one of my Zoya videos. So this is not something I've been using in my fighting fantasy videos, but it says here the only limitation is your imagination and the CPU, of course, referring to the Empress Effects Zoya, which is this synthesizer here, on which you can do absolutely anything. There's no limitation at all, apart from the CPU, which is quite limiting. So makes you more creative, I guess, that you have to work within the constraints of the CPU. Right, so that's where that slogan came about. Anyway, it's my only catchphrase really that I could use. I couldn't use Fighting Fantasy Aficionados because of aficionado because Fighting Fantasy, of course, is a trademark, so I'm not going to use that. So certainly wouldn't print it on anything. So for now, that is my only sort of printable slogan catchphrase, I think. Maybe I should come up with more, but at the moment, that's the one I've got. And also, I just wanted to do a test print as well from the supplier of these mugs, just to see how they were, and I might put these available for sale at some point as well. Right, so character, yes. So I need a skill. Well, yes, I do need a skill, but I am going to play with the same superhero as I have done the last two times, which means I will choose super strength and get a skill of 13 regardless. So let's see now. Skill 8, stamina 22, and luck 11. That's quite good. And we also got hero points, which is a unique feature to this particular game. I know there are some other game books where you have a kind of scoring system that tells you how well you've done. In this one, there's a slightly fuzzy one called hero points, which basically are awarded every time you do some heroic deeds in public. It seems to be the time you get them. You don't get negative points for failure in public, which you probably should have done, but it's only goes up. But I have noticed there was one occasion you did something heroic, but nobody was there to see it. So it's specifically said in the text that you do not get hero points for this because people will not think of you more as a hero for having done that since nobody saw it. So it's actually a social score. It's the either your own perceived heroicness in the eyes of others or how others see you as a hero. So one or the other, in either case, it is actually not an accurate score of how heroic you are. In fact, I would argue that if you do things without wanting or needing the accolades or even caring what other people think of you as a hero, that makes you more heroic. So there you go. Right. But I suppose even in the mid 80s, people were still wanted their likes and their thumbs up, didn't they? So that's what it is. It's like it's the likes on your heroic post. So you post a picture of yourself, a selfie of yourself, um, catching a villain, and you put it on Twitter, and then people give you likes. That's the hero points. That's how it works. Right. Let's have a little look at this book. Hero points, blah blah blah, clues. Yeah, there are clues as well in this one. There are sort of certain villains that you can't find, or you can't find them easily. Sometimes you can't find them without the clues, and sometimes you find them more easily with the clues. And sometimes, yeah, I'm not sure. There's some of them I'm definitely sure you can't find them without knowing the right clues. Right. Let's go with this. Yeah, let's start with this section here. It says superpowers and clues. You are Jean Lafayette, or possibly Jean Lafayette, the product of a dangerous but successful genetic experiment. Although seemingly normal as a child, it became apparent in your early teens that you were a far from ordinary human being. You are gifted with a superhuman power which you have sworn to use only for the benefit of your fellow man. As the Silver Crusader, you are well known to the population of Titan City. Most people admire you, some distrust you, but all members of the underworld fear you. Only your parents, who are both dead, ever knew your real identity and the origin of your powers. In the adventures ahead, you will begin with one of 4 powers. During your daily activities and encounters with disasters and super criminals, you will have 2 objectives. First, you must learn the whereabouts of the secret meeting of F.E.A.R, the Federation of Euro-American Rebels, which is due to take place within the next few days. This dangerous alliance of master criminals and enemy agents is planning to overthrow the governments of the Western world and establish their own rule. Secondly, you may assess your own performance as a superhero by trying to gain as many hero points as possible. Before you start each adventure, you may choose which superpower to start with from the 4 powers listed below. You will also start the game with knowledge of 2 clues, which are hidden in the text of the adventure. Excuse me. Before you turn to reference 1 to start your adventure, choose your superpower, locate and read the clues, and enter the information on your adventure sheet. Right, so I'm going to go with super strength, which brings my skill up to 13, which is good. You have the strength of many men. The muscles of your immensely powerful legs and arms bulge through the fabric of your costume. They are developed to the point of perfection, and in combat situations, you always fight with a skill of 13. You also have a power to fly through the air at any speed you wish, but not at any moment you wish, but only when the text allows it. There are some cases where it's a bit weird that you can't just fly somewhere. But there you go. To find the first of your clues, turn to reference 127. So we have 127. The Scarlet Prankster, a fun-loving criminal who delights in playing practical jokes on his unsuspecting victims, has found a new home and one most befitting his sense of humor. When you are in the vicinity of his new residence, you are given the opportunity to look for him. Subtract 50 from the reference you are on at the time and turn to this new reference to find him. This is how the clues work, and it's very clever because it's often a bit subtle in the text as well, whether you have the opportunity to to use a clue. It's not sort of right in there in your face. Scarlet Prankster. Minus 50, so I'll subtract 50 from the reference. And then I can get a choice of 3 clues, and I think I have taken all of them at some point, haven't I? Let's see. Excuse me. Or have I not done 280 yet? I don't have a note of 280, so I'm not sure if I've ever done that one. I've done 108. That is a criminal called Daddy Rich. 312 is a bit hard to tell because my writing is so not the easiest to read sometimes. So I'll go with 280 anyway. Oh yeah, I think I had this one last time, didn't I? So, recently you have learned the true identities of several of the crime world's most notorious supervillains. The Tormentor has been identified as Richard Storm. So let's see. So this is IDs. I'll just call it IDs. So we have Tormentor, Richard Storm, the Ice Queen, Sylvia Frost, Society Debutante. Oh yeah, that's it. Tormentor has been identified as Richard Storm, an uptown heating engineer. The Ice Queen is none other than Sylvia Frost, Society Debutante. And Marcus Belletta is known to be the gruesome Dr. Macabre. Dr. Macabre. Marcus Belletta, whose terrible experiments in surgery have shocked the world. Belletta has been planning a jailbreak for months. When he does so, he is likely to rob a chemist immediately for surgical equipment and chemicals. So that means that if I get a chance to, if something happens in a chemist, I know that that is going to be him, and I'll have the opportunity to deal with it, probably. That is the clue. So I think that's what it tells me too. You will have an option between the chemist and something else, and you have to pick the chemist in that case to get Marcus Belletta. Right. Then I go back to paragraph. Well, not paragraph yet. I'm going to start with the background, actually. And this is actually a little bit of an error in the book, I would say, because as I said, before you turn to reference 1 to start your adventure, choose your superpower, it says here. But what they really mean is before you read the background, do choose your superpower and the clues, because if you go to 1 now, you actually miss the background. So yeah, I forgot about that. Anyway, and I missed that one time too, because I went straight for paragraph 1. That's what it tells me to, so I forgot about the background. The time of your birth was an anxious moment for your parents and their doctors. Your mother had consented to undergo an experimental form of genetic surgery. The doctors had warned her of the dangers of the radiation experiments, but oh, hang on. Yes. Radiation experiments. The research program was nowhere near complete. But this she already knew, for she herself was one of the researchers. The work had reached the stage where progress was impossible without testing it on a human subject. Your father had not fully understood the implications when he gave his consent, and 8 pairs of apprehensive eyes watched your arrival into the world. Their first reaction was one of relief. You certainly seemed a normal, healthy baby. Postnatal tests showed no physical deformities whatsoever. In fact, you appeared to be a fine specimen. In your younger years, your development was carefully monitored with a seemingly endless series of physiological and psychological tests, all of which you passed with flying colors. The doctors and researchers congratulated themselves. Their experiments were a complete success. However, the experiments had been conducted in a shroud of secrecy. Had the world known of the risks of the experiment, public outcry would have been overwhelming. Would certainly have put an end to further genetic research, and from your mother's point of view, she had no wish to have the world regard you as an experimental freak. Only a few knew what had really happened. Actually, and we don't really know what happened either because we don't know exactly what they were trying to do with these experiments. So, over the years, testing stopped as the doctors felt more and more certain that there was no need to monitor your progress. As fate would have it, it was just when this testing stopped that it became clear that you were anything but a normal child. Your latent superhuman powers did not show themselves until after the doctors had lost interest. So clearly these experiments were not intended to make you anything but normal. So that begs the question, doesn't it? What on earth were they for? Your parents, who had become thoroughly fed up with the endless tests, decided that your extraordinary powers must remain a secret from the world. They had no wish to have you studied as some kind of freak for the rest of your life. You have a regular job working in an office of a medium-sized company. That is to say, you are supposed to be at work in an office. You do seem to spend most of your time away doing superheroic stuff. When duty calls, which is a lot of the time, you become the Silver Crusader, upholder of justice, and you have taken an oath to serve in the fight against crime in Titan City. Apart from your own super abilities, you have one other device to aid you, your Crime Watch. This neat little device, worn around your wrist, receives and broadcasts transmissions to and from your two most important allies. You can be contacted by police headquarters through this Crime Watch, and you can also summon the police to aid you. In addition, your friend and underworld contact, Jerry the Grass, is able to warn you of impending crimes through the Crime Watch. Jerry the Grass has recently become aware of an important meeting about to take place within the next few days. Vladimir Utoshtsky, leader of F.E.A.R, the Federation of Euro-American Rebels, has been summoning his aides in crime to meet in Titan City. Utoshtsky, also known as the Titanium Cyborg, is a supervillain whose field of expertise is the electronic enhancement of human abilities. He is part man, part machine, and very dangerous. That should be, he is part man, part machine, and all dangerous. Don't you think? Yeah. Jerry the Grass has not yet found out where or when the meeting is due, but one thing is certain. Its purpose is to finalize plans for a scheme which would mean disaster for the Western world. The meeting must be stopped. You must find out where and when this meeting is due to take place and prevent it at all costs. Now turn over. Right, so that's the beginning, that's the background. As you walk the 10 blocks to work that morning, you can't help but feel that something is not quite right. You stop by a telephone booth to consider what it could be. The sounds of the city are the usual 8 a.m. cacophony. Cars and buses bounce past along Clark Street. The driver's too sleepy even to try to avoid the pits and bumps in the road. A newspaper vendor bawls an incomprehensible headline. Something about a robbery. At the crowds of men and women milling past him on their ways to work. Overhead in the sky, the rhythmic beating of a traffic copter's blades fades into the distance. An argument is taking place between an elderly businessman and an overlarge woman with an untrained dog, whose sidewalk deposits have offended the businessman. There is nothing unusual, or is there? The difference is only barely perceptible, but there is a distinct air of tension in the streets. There are nervous twitches in the eyes of the passers-by. Excuse me. The cars are accelerating and braking in a jittery manner. Little things like that. To your heightened senses, the atmosphere is pregnant. Today will not be just another day. Your thoughts are broken by the high-pitched wailing of a police siren. A yellow and black Cougar GS screeches round the corner and leaps ahead through the Clark Street traffic before swinging left into Audubon Park. Behind it, the traffic settles back into its regular flow. Your attention drifts back to the argument. A small crowd is built up around the man and woman. Raised voices are taking one side or the other. And the situation is beginning to look nasty. What will you do next? Go over and see if you can break up the argument? Run after the police car into Audubon Park? Buy a newspaper to find out about the robbery? Or ignore all these incidents and go to work, which is pointless because if you do that, you get to the same paragraph as if you'd done some of the other things and then gone to work, which means you're late for work anyway, etc. Right, what did I do last time? So, I've tried ignoring all these things. Not a good idea, necessarily. Although I do get a clue if I do. Robbery. Woodland Park. Okay. Let's see. I've done Audubon Park. I sort of know what is there, although I haven't done all the options there. That is the one that is for the clue for Daddy Rich, which I didn't take. Now about the argument. I don't know. But then there's also the robbery. Where there was also supposed to be something else in the newspaper that I don't know what is yet. I think I'll go with the newspaper to find out about the robbery. So, you study the newspaper. Under the headline Alchemists in Cleveland, a story describes how the notorious gang of chemical experts entered a branch of the Cleveland Bank on 113th Street at 4 a.m. Bypassed the alarm, locked the security guard in the vault on a time switch, and made off with a number of safe deposit boxes. Although it was impossible to tell how much was taken in the raid, claims from the owners of the deposit boxes are now coming in. Apart from the cash, many valuable papers had been stolen. Do you want to investigate the robbery as the Silver Crusader, or will you see what else is in the paper? I will see what else is in the paper because I don't know what it is, and that might actually be more important. So, 386. In the personal column of the newspaper, you find an interesting snippet which reads, Richard Storm. All is forgiven. How was I to know she was a private nurse? Phone me on 5559999. Love, Susan. A private nurse? What is this all about? If you now want to proceed to the bank as a Silver Crusader, turn to 112. If you want to go to work, turn to 341. Richard Storm, we know who that is. That is the Tormentor. It's been tormenting this Susan as well. I don't know if that's supposed to be a clue of any sort. 5559999. It doesn't sound like it's a clue. It sounds like it's just for fun. So. I still get the same two options. And I don't think I need to make a note of this. It might be a clue, but it doesn't look very cluish to me. So, I'm going to the bank as the Silver Crusader. Of course, I did make some mistakes there last time. Let's see if I can get something else out of it this time. So, the police and bank officials fall silent as you step through the door of the bank. Do you wish to interrogate the branch manager of the bank, the chief detective investigating the case, or the security guard? Last time I talked to the detective and he didn't like me at all, so that wasn't very fruitful. Which leaves the security guard or the manager. I'm going to talk to the manager, I think, this time. And go to paragraph 420. The manager, Roger Stevens, wants to do all he can to help. He was woken in the early morning by a call from the police. The alchemists, masters of advanced chemistry, had neutralized the alarm with some sort of acidic gas, which delayed its being activated as they forced their way in. Another unknown compound had dissolved the security lock on the main door. Why the security guard had not noticed the intruders was still a mystery, which would only be solved when the time lock released him from the vault. You ask him about his deposit box holders, and he becomes less cooperative. Well, he should be less cooperative. Some of the boxes are owned by important citizens, and their identities must not be disclosed. We try to find out more about the deposit box owners, or question the chief detective, or the security guard. Okay, so 83. I suppose I should try to find out more about the deposit box holders. Probably won't work, but you check the book records. Most of the boxes are listed as containing money, jewelry, all documents, and computer data disks, and nearly all are held by wealthy citizens or local businesses. Most are in the main vault, which is now locked, but a number are scattered around the floor outside the vault door. One of these contains some recently completed title deeds to Titan Abattoir. Okay. They show that the abattoir has just been bought by a Sylvia Frost. This name rings a bell. Sylvia Frost, of course, the Ice Queen. If you find evidence of the Ice Queen's activities, you can use this information to locate her by deducting 20 from the reference you are on. Wasn't I near an abattoir at some point? I can't remember for sure now. Anyway, so Sylvia Frost, let's put that here then, so minus 20. That is the abattoir. Okay. Now turn to 60. Okay, so that is concludes my investigation there. So that is a clue. So let's put that there. Clue. To S. Frost. Okay. So that might actually be the best thing you can get out of that particular situation, since you get the clue. Now turn to 60. Just before you leave, you talk to one of the police officers who live near Starker's Beach. That's quite a funny name for a beach. There are reports of the sighting of a giant shark just off the beach, and he would be grateful if you would investigate it. He has 2 children who swim every weekend, and he is worried about their safety. You tell him you look into it. If you wish to go to the beach straight away, turn to 72. If not, turn to 98. Now, what happened on the beach again? That didn't go well last time. Excuse me. That didn't go well on the beach, did it? I did get some clue there. That was quite useful. Maybe I'll just do the beach then. I'll do the beach. So 72. Everything seems to be normal when you arrive at Starker's Beach. Hundreds of families are sunning themselves and splashing about in the water. And I'm a little bit askew. There we are. Because I'm sitting askew, isn't it? Okay. Straighten up a little bit. Barely dressed girls are swaying in pairs along the walkway, tittering as they pass groups of muscle-bound gigolos who try to attract their attention. Suddenly, a single scream pierces the general hubbub. A woman's voice yells, "Shark! Shark!" The reaction is immediate. The bathers panic and flee from the water towards the beach in a human wave. The reaction is immediate too. What is your power? ETS, Energy Blast, Psi Power, or Super Strength. I've got Super Strength, of course. So that is 55. You dive up into the air, zoom out over the water. The woman was right. How do you dive up into the air? I thought you soar into the air, you dived up. Yeah, you soar up, you dive down. Anyway, the woman was right. Some 30 meters out from the beach and advancing fast towards a young boy who is still in the water is the ominous black fin of a ripper shark. You plunge down into the sea to take on the monster. Turn to 294. With a tremendous splashing, the fight commences. When the shark has inflicted its 4th wound on you, turn to 95. Okay. So, we've got, I've got 13, 22, and the shark's got 10 and 8. So that should work well, most likely. So, I've got a 3 skill point advantage, which means that he has to roll 4 better than me in order to hit me. So let's see. The shark rolls 5, I roll 7, so that means I hit him. Shark rolls 6, I roll 7. He's got 4 stamina left. Shark rolls 9, I roll 8. He's got 2 stamina left. And finally he rolls a 5 and I roll a 6, and the shark is dead. Long live the shark. So that means I go to 197. Having defeated the shark, you turn to the young boy who is splashing about in the water. Terrified, you calm him down, lift him out of the sea and carry him back to the beach, where his sobbing mother is waiting. She thanks you again and again and wants to know if she can do anything in return. Her uncle runs a circus and she could get you the best seats. You humor her and thank her for her generous offer, but insist that there is really no need. But your protests are of no avail. She writes down a telephone number, 444-5666, and tells you to ring Captain Menagerie any time you would like to see his show. She goes on and on about this uncle of hers. He tells you that he is the ringmaster of a circus and has strange habits. He has a secret office reached underneath the lion's cage, where he keeps his money and papers. This information may be useful to you. If you ever need to find him, you may search for him by adding 50 to the reference you're on when you reach a lion's cage. So, Captain Menagerie, which sounds like a villain, doesn't it? Menagerie, and so that's lion's cage plus 50. By now, this woman is becoming a pest. You excuse yourself, you really must be on your way. After secretly changing back into your street clothes, you head for home. Turn to 18. Not for work, no? Oh dear. Oh well. What a day. You slump into a chair in front of the TV and relax with a long, cold drink. You may add 6 stamina points for the rest. One thing disturbs you. Your boss, Jonah White, will be livid when you turn up for work tomorrow. You will have to invent some pretty convincing excuses. The next morning you set off to work early. This time you will travel by subway to make sure you get to work on time. But since when has a superhero's life ever been easy? Help! Shouts a voice further up the crowded carriage. Pickpocket! Oh no, just what you needed. You force your way through the crowd on the busy train. As you reach the pickpocket's victim, that familiar beep, beep, beep sounds from your crime watch. Its electronic voice speaks. Cowfield, dairy, fast. Typical. Another dilemma. The train stops at a station only a block away from Cowfield Dairy. Will you leap out and see what is happening there, or will you instead aid the pickpocket's victim? Now, this was an interesting case because it seemed like you could actually go in a circle and still get the pickpocket, which is clearly not intended. But let's just see, where am I now on my map? 18. And if you go to the dairy, you do get a clue. But. Yeah, I suppose I'll just go to the dairy because it seems I'm able to deal with the pickpocket afterwards anyway, which is a strange sort of time loop thing. So I will go to 369, the dairy. You change in a convenient alley and head for the dairy. When you arrive at the gates, everything seems to be in order. Milk floats are returning from their daily rounds, and thousands of bottles are chinking their way along conveyors. There is no sign of danger. A short-tailed tabby cat, no doubt a stray, is trying to get in through the gates. You pick the hungry creature up and stroke it. As you wait, your eye catches a familiar-looking figure turning the corner and walking towards you. It is Chainsaw Bronski, a well-known murderer who you thought was well behind bars. Will you apprehend the villain, or does your first duty lie with the needy, and will you instead take the cat to a cat's home? Yeah, strange priorities. Things cats make you do. So, if I take the cat with me to a cat's home, I do get a clue. Can't remember exactly what it is now. If I go for Bronsky, I also get a clue. And it also makes more logical sense. The cat can help itself, really. Although I know it's not a normal cat. It's what was the name again? Something Tiger something. She's a villain anyway, who can turn into the shape of a cat. Right. So I'm gonna go for Chainsaw Bronsky. And I go to 3. You hide behind the gate until Bronsky is close. When you can hear his footsteps approaching, you spring out to confront him. And the startled killer reaches into his coat and pulls out a weapon, a battery-powered electric knife, as you do. Resolve your combat with him. So he's got 8 skill, 8 stamina. So I've got a 5 skill point advantage. He rolls 6, I roll 7. He's down to 6 stamina. He rolls 4, I roll 4. He's got 4 hit points left. And finally, he rolls a 5 and I roll a 10. So he's got 2. And of course, you don't kill villains in this game. You are a goody two-shoes. So you have to make sure you just knock them unconscious, which is when they reach 1 or 2 stamina. In this case, 2. So I'm not hitting him any further. And I go to 93. You take the murderer to police headquarters. On the way, he pleads with you not to turn him in. He even gives you some useful information. Apparently, the serpent has been spurned by his actress girlfriend, Lola Mange. She is famous for her quote, "I don't want to be a star, I just want to be an ordinary girl." She always takes the poorest of dressing rooms and has decided to give up her life of decadence as a serpent's girl. He has sworn that by hook or by crook she will return to him. Of course, he will not give way to deals with criminals, but you may add 1 luck point for this information. You hand Bronsky over. I don't have any luck points to add. You hand Bronsky over to the surprise sergeant at the desk and leave. You may add 1 hero point for your arrest. And I didn't get any hero points for the shark, which is a bit ridiculous because there were so many people who saw me. Anyway. Turn to 67. Excuse me. You must start thinking about getting back to work. Well, I haven't been to work yet. Outside it is starting to rain. Just your luck. Head for work by turning to 111 if you don't know of anywhere else to go, and that means there's a clue there, or there's a reference to a clue, and presumably there's no way I could have got that clue before getting here, which means this is one of the superpower clues that belongs to another of the superpowers. A bit curious what it is, but this is one of the things that is brilliant about this book. It's replayable, and it's a slightly different game if you use different superpowers. Indeed, I think there will be different paths that are ideal for different superpowers. Quite useful sometimes with the camera needing a break every half hour, because then I can also take a little break, which I just did. Okay, one thing I forgot to do though was to drink more water. Right, so where am I? You must start thinking about getting back to work. Yeah, that's the one. Head for work by turning to 111 if you don't know of anywhere else to go. So I'm going to go to 111. Excuse me. You change back into street clothes and get a move on. You are late for work again. You turn the corner onto Clark Street and stop as you pass Harold's department store. Not Harrods, but Harold's. A thought has crossed your mind. You could stop and buy your boss a present of some kind to apologize for being late. But then this would make you even later. Is it worth it? You wish to go in and look for a suitable gift, turn to 429. If you want to go to work as quickly as possible, turn to 301. I'm going to go to get a gift, aren't I? Oh, hang on. Maybe I will, and maybe I won't. Yeah, I get to 301 anyway, so I may as well go into Harold's and get a gift, 429. Somebody cutting grass. There's a sound that sounds like a lawnmower or an edge trimmer, and that is really weird because it is the middle of January and there is no grass. Could be a chainsaw, I suppose. Anyway. Oh, hang on, that's not the right one. 429, yes. What can you get him? An apple? A bottle of whiskey? A new tie? You decide to go for something a little more imaginative. Do you want to head downstairs to the book department or upstairs to the games department? And it is the games department where the excitement happens. So I'm going to go to the games. If you do go to the book department, you can actually buy him a copy of The Warlock of Firetop Mountain. That's pretty cool, actually. 355. There must be something he'd like. No doubt he's already got Monopoly. What about this? Trivial Pursuit. Looks interesting. Or how about Dungeons and Dragons? Probably hasn't got the imagination. As you are perusing the games, 4 bikers walk in ripped jeans and dirty leather jackets. Trouble. You watch them from the corner of your eye. They are in the women's underwear department and are holding bras up to their chests and laughing. So is the games department on the same floor as the women's underwear department? That is a bit weird, isn't it? Right. A middle-aged woman comes over to stop them, and an assistant manager steps in to help. Tempers rise. Just when you are wondering whether or not to join in, one of the bikers throws his jacket to the floor. He clasps his hands together, and to the horror of the unsuspecting floor staff, he bursts into flames. The others do likewise, and 4 flaming bodies stomp about the shop, setting fire to everything they touch. The Fire Warriors. Of course. Why did you not recognize those no-good delinquents earlier? You had better act quickly. If you have super strength, turn to 133. So that's what I'll do. You jump over the counter and change quickly into the Silver Crusader. You will have to be careful not to stay too close to the fire warriors, as their flames will burn you. Perhaps just your presence will be enough to frighten them away. You spring out and order them to stop their foolishness and leave the store. Stop this foolishness and leave the store. I merely laugh at you. That didn't work. There's only one thing left for it. You will have to fight them. Yeah. Right, so one at a time, and we've got a 7, 5, 7, 5, 6, 6, and 7, 6, and fight them one at a time. Each time you are hit, roll one die. A roll of 1 or 2 indicates that you have been burned and must deduct an extra stamina point, it says. Okay, so first one, I got a 6 skill point advantage, so he rolls a 9, I rolled a 2, and that means he actually hit me. Oh my. And I rolled an extra die, I rolled a 2, which means I lost 3 stamina points. That's not a very auspicious start, is it? He rolls a 3, I rolled a 3, that's better. It's down to 4. He rolls a 9, I rolled a 5, he's down to 2 and has been knocked unconscious. Second one, I've got a 6 skill point advantage. He rolls a 10, I roll a 4, that's a draw. He rolls a 9, I roll a 3, excuse me. That is a draw. Good thing I got super strength, I would have been burned by now to a crisp. 8 and 8, yeah, so that's me hitting him. He rolls a 9, I roll a 10, he's down to 2 and has been knocked out. Then I've got a... Oh, hang on. I didn't have a 6 skill point. I had a 7 skill point advantage, so I would have got him sooner, but no matter. Next one, 6 skill point advantage. He rolls a 5, I roll a 7. It's down to 3. He rolls a 9, I roll a 7. He is knocked out. Last one, he rolls 5, I roll a 5. He's down to 3 stamina, and he rolls 11, I roll 6, which is also enough to hit him, and he is also knocked out. Right, then I go to 380 for having defeated them all. You bind the fire warriors with rope. Wouldn't that melt or burn? And help the staff clear the damage until the police arrive. You may claim as many hero points as you like. No, as the number of fire warriors you've captured. And the reason it's worded like that is because you can accidentally kill them if you are being a bit careless and you forget that you're not supposed to roll once, or if you use luck in combat, things like that. So it is actually possible to kill them, although you have to be really careless. Then you had better change back to Jean Lafayette. Maybe I'll go with the French one, Jean Lafayette, and make your way to work. If you want to run to work, turn to 301. If you feel it would be quicker to take the subway train, turn to 409. So this is where I will take the train, because this is where there is a loop, and you go back to the pickpocket. So this is not intentional, I'm quite sure, but I'll just go with the flow now. So the office is only 2 stops away. Surprisingly, you don't have to wait long for a train to arrive. Why is that surprising? It's the underground, it's a busy city, it should be all the time. You sit and contemplate a good excuse to give to Mr. White, who is bound to be in a foul mood when you arrive, but a cry interrupts your thoughts. Help, you hear from a voice at the other end of the carriage. Oh no, what is it this time? As if in answer, the voice cries, pickpocket. And this is exactly the same pickpocket as earlier, except there's a strange time loop thing. You had better see if you can help, but there will be no opportunity to change into the Silver Crusader. Will you go and help the man, or will you ignore him and concern yourself with getting to work on time for once? I'm not going to go to work on time for once. I'm going to help the man. So 185. You rush up to a puny-looking, bespectacled man who is shaking with fright. There, he cries, pointing to a man running up through the next carriage. He's stolen my wallet. You race after him. No one else moves. They don't want to get involved. If only you could change into the Silver Crusader. Not that it really matters. Am I any less strong if I don't wear the cape? No, of course not. Roll 2 dice and compare the total with your skill score. Yeah, well. If the total is less than or equal to your skill, turn to 166. Okay, that is the case. You gain ground and catch up with the pickpocket. As you grab him, he spins round to face you and draws out a knife. You will have to fight him with your bare hands. Well, what else is there? As you cannot risk revealing yourself as a Silver Crusader. But the Silver Crusader, well, as the super strength Silver Crusader, you only fight with your bare hands. But of course, if you had any other superpower, you would of course be able to fight with other means. I suppose that is the point of this way of wording it. So as a super strength Silver Crusader, I can still use my super strength. I just have to be a bit more careful so it doesn't show, I guess. Right, so he's got 7, 6. So I've got a 6 skill point advantage. He rolls a 7, I roll a 7. He rolls a 7, I roll a 6. That's him knocked out. That's it, really. I turn to 296 for having defeated him. And I get to... Okay, so you go through the man's pockets to retrieve the wallet. He is carrying some peculiar things, no doubt the pickings of his trade. Along with the wallet, you find a cigarette packet which contains a crumpled piece of paper, a tape cassette, and a map, or a cassette tape, as it should have said. Before handing the pickpocket over to a security guard on the train, you managed to take one of these from him. Which did you take? So, in the past, I have looked at the cigarette thing, and that required ETS. I've looked at the map, which I'm not sure if that actually... I still haven't found anywhere where that map reference is useful. So this time I will look at the tape. So let's have a look at the cassette tape. Right. You sit down next to a kid listening to a Walkman. Yeah, good old days. And borrow it to listen to the tape. It seems to be a recording of a telephone conversation between a man and a woman. The conversation ends, "Don't worry. The treasures are being collected and replaced by our agent, Mustafa Karim. We will have them all soon. Remember, we meet the day after tomorrow on board the yacht." Okay, bye. Interesting stuff. This Mustafa Karim sounds like a dubious character. If you come across him, you may question him about his activities by doubling the reference number you are on at the time. Okay, that's a clue I've not seen before. So we've got... Also haven't encountered a Mustafa Karim. Let's see. Mustafa Karim. And then it is reference times 2. I'll make a note of on my map here that there is a clue there. So clue. There's a clue there as well. The thing is that I don't know if this clue leads to anything yet. Add 1 luck point for discovering this match, which makes it sound like this is actually the maybe the important clue. Maybe the other ones are red herrings. I don't know. Or maybe the cigarette piece of paper in the cigarette box also is something that is useful, but you would need ETS to glean anything from it, and so it's it might be the most important clue, but it's only valid if you got ETS. So there you go. Anyway, Mustafa Karim. And then, +1 luck point. I must put that in as well. +1 luck. Not many luck points going or coming in this game, which is fine. I suppose you can use some for fighting in that case, if you need to. And then we go to 86, so that is this one here towards 86, which is on the next page. 86, there we are. The train stops at Grim Street and you get off to go to work. You try to settle into your desk discreetly. No such luck. Lafayette, get in here at once. No sooner had you stepped through the office door than Jonah White's booming voice summoned you. You creep into his office, mumbling scanty excuses for being late yet again. Enough, he yells. What do you think we are running here? A charity? Do you suppose I should be grateful that you even grace us with your presence? Very noble of you indeed to even bother coming in at all. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm feeling kind today. You can have the rest of the day off without pay. And if you're not in first thing tomorrow morning, you can start looking for another job. Slink out of his office with your tail between your legs. How can you tell him what you've been doing? And now you've been suspended for a day. Where will you go? Will you spend the day at Disneyland, the amusement park, or will you go downtown, perhaps to do some shopping? Now, I know that if I go to Disneyland, I will be able to find the Scarlet Prankster, which, of course, helps me get a clue. But I know that, so should I try something else? Because that might actually lead me to something else interesting. So, now if I do go downtown to go shopping, I do actually have the option of an insta-death there, which I've done before. So I should miss that. But I would be interested to see what else can happen downtown, even though that probably isn't the right path to take in this case. I'm still interested to know what happens there. So I don't expect to win this game this time either. So I might as well just explore a little bit. So strolling downtown, you stop first at the bank to get some cash. Good old days. Next stop is a pizza parlor for a bite to eat. You take a stool facing out across Banner Street and watch the shoppers passing as you eat your pizza. On the far side of the road is a man you recognize. It is Drew Swain, a retired millionaire who made his fortune manufacturing the collection tins used by charities. He steps into a baker's shop. When he comes out, something strange happens. He takes a step forward and suddenly freezes, held like a statue in an off-balance pose. A blue van draws up and obscures your view. When the van drives off, Swain is gone. You saw it with your own eyes, but it happened so quickly that you are now a long way behind the kidnappers. Will you nip to the toilet in the back of the shop and change costume? If so, will you follow the van or ask questions at the bakery? If you are determined to have an afternoon off and to do nothing, turn to 428. Now, last time I followed the van, and that was an insta-death, actually, or an insta-end. So today I will go to the bakery and see what happens there. You rush into the bakery and ask questions about their last customer, but it seems there was nothing unusual about him. He bought a loaf of wholemeal bread and 2 custard tarts. The staff don't know anything more about him. If you have psi powers, you attempt to read their minds. If you have super strength, you may chase after the van. Otherwise, you may go outside to the scene of the crime and see if there are any other clues to be picked up. So, I've got the option of going after the van. Don't want to do that. Let's see. Oh, we got 246 psi or 331. 331. Scene of crime. So I'm going to look at the scene of the crime and see if there are any clues. 3, 3, 1. Outside, you find a single clue to the kidnapping, a metal slug with the letter M engraved in it. If this means anything to you, you will know how you can investigate it. Otherwise, you have come to a dead end. Now, this is, if I remember correctly, the clue that you get when you catch the cat woman, I think. Which means, if I remember correctly, just check now. Yes. So that means that if this is the path that I want to take, I want to also make sure to go and get the cat woman, I suppose, at the dairy. So let's see. Question mark. And then we have ... which means that now there is another hidden paragraph that I can only get to if I have the right clue, which is one of the things I really like about this book. Actually, that mechanic of clues, it works really well in this book, and it's really cool, I think. 428. You resume your shopping tour downtown. We make for Virgin Records, not Virgin Records, Virgin, to go and have a look at what new albums have come out recently, or will you have a look in the window of Epiphany's, not Tiffany's, the famous jewelers? Turn to 300. Okay, so we've got two options. I'll just move them down here in case they require more space. So 189 records or 300 jewels. Well, jeweler sort of seems like an obvious place to be, and then suddenly there's a robbery or something. So I'm going to go to the records, Virgin Records. You find there is a new Michael Blackson album called Willa. So that's Michael Jackson and Thriller. All about spooks and ghouls, and decide to buy it. Go straight home to listen to it. Turn to 327. Is there a 327, or is that a new reference? Maybe. Let's see what happens at 327. I just think I may have been a 327 before. I'll just have a little look now and see if I can find a 327. The thing about these paragraphs is that there are some that are so similar, with some small differences, that it's harder to know for sure whether you've been there before. I can't see a 3. There it is. 327. Yes. There is a 327, so I can go up and across. To 327. There we are. Okay. Next morning you leave for work early. You are sorely tempted to leave your crime watch behind. You dare not miss another day's work, but your fears are unwarranted. You arrive at work early. Do you know why? No. Yes, you arrive at work early. No, hang on. To your utter amazement, your crime watch is silent. You arrive at work early. Jonah White cannot believe his eyes when he enters the office to find you hard at work at your desk. At lunchtime, you catch up on the day's news on the teletext TV. Oh, there's so much nostalgia in this book. There's teletext TV, there is withdrawing money from the bank, there's a Walkman, there's a cassette tape. Yeah, there's so many landline telephone. There's landline telephone as well. All that stuff that you don't get anymore. Okay. A woman has been seriously mauled by what she calls a monster. Well, we still get landline telephones, but you know what I mean. It's not the same. But a specialist at the hospital thinks the claw marks of an animal of some kind. Well, a monster animal, yeah. The second story is of a man who had his chest crushed in the grounds of the Natural History Museum. There are no clues as to who or what was responsible. It is as if whatever caused the man's death simply walked away. Both incidents are being investigated by the police. You decide to do a little investigation of your own. You change into the Silver Crusader and set off to make your inquiries. Where will you head first? So, Natural History Museum, Titan Zoo, or Warnham and Whaley's Travelling Circus. Now, what have I done before at this point is the big question. So, I did go to the circus, but I haven't been to the circus since before I got the clue. So now I went to the beach, I did kill the shark, and I got the clue about the circus, and I need to go to the lion's cage. So that is a clue that I want to investigate because I've not done that before. So I want to go to the circus this time. Right, so that was the alarm for my camera, and it may have shut off. Possibly. It certainly wasn't on when I restarted it. Okay, so I may have lost a few seconds there. I think I'll be fine. Okay. The thing is, because the camera has a half-hour thing now, and it doesn't make any sounds or any indications when it stops, I've got a countdown clock like this to help me know when it's due to be restarted. Usually I restart it before the alarm goes because I just give it a glance and I can see it visually as well. But yeah, sometimes I get so engrossed in what I'm doing, of course I forget. Okay, so I'm going to the circus and I go to paragraph 4. There we are. You arrive at the circus as preparations are being made for the evening's performance. Caravans are clustered around the huge big top, and round the back are the animal cages. A dwarf dressed in a clown's outfit comes running over to you as you arrive. He cannot talk, but instead honks a bicycle horn excitedly. Honk, honk, honk. Grabs your hand and pulls. He seems to want you to follow him. Will you follow him as he wishes, or will you head for the lion cages? Or an important looking caravan in the center? I'm going to go to the lion cages because I know there is something there. There are 2 lions inside the cage. They are lying contentedly on the floor, licking their paws as if they had just finished a meal. But there are no signs of meat in the cage. Several meters from the cage is an elephant tied to a stake. These beasts could well be the killers, but what evidence do you have? Do you want to arrest the lion tamer and take him to police headquarters, or will you try to gather more evidence? If you have psi powers, turn to 321. Now this is there's no clue to the clue here, which is interesting, but I'll have a little look anyway and see if that is the one I want to go to now. So right, so we got 383. So 383, Lion Tamer. 45, Evidence. 321. psi powers. But this is where I was told to add 50 to the reference when I'm at the lion cage, which means I should go to 360. I'll just see if that is indeed correct. Yes. So this is secret paragraph 360 is where I can go now, if I have the right clue. So you crouch down underneath the lion cage. Sure enough, at the far end is a trapdoor leading up to one end of the cage, into an area which appears to be the lion's shelter. You listen at the trapdoor and can hear shuffling sounds coming from within. Every so often a man's voice chuckles. You shove the trapdoor up and leap inside. Standing in a small room is a sharp-featured man with a long waxed moustache. He is dressed in a bright red suit with a large top hat. Yeah, it's a usual ringmaster outfit. The ringmaster. Surrounding him, pinned to the walls, are photographs of 12 people, and several have black lines drawn across them. You recognize photographs of the woman savaged by a monster, and the man crushed in the grounds of the Natural History Museum. 12 people? Of course. The jury which condemned the ringmaster to 15 years in prison. He leaps to his feet as you burst in, and you will have to fight him. The ringmaster. So we have here skill 8, stamina 6. So I've got a 5 skill point advantage. So many not sort of super strong villains in this one. So he rolls a 5, I roll a 9. So he's down to 4 stamina. He rolls a 9, sorry, and I rolled a 12. So he's down to 2 and is knocked unconscious. Oh, hang on. After the first round of combat, turn to 207. Missed that. Okay, so 207. So something happens. 207. First round. Okay. The ringmaster leaps to a small door in the wall, opens it and jumps through it, straight into the lion's cage. An evil smile spreads across his lips as you follow him. Snapping a couple of words at the lions, he sends them towards you. If you have ETS, turn to 92, otherwise turn to 297. Okay, so may have to fight the lions as well. So we have 92, ETS, or 297. No, okay, so 297. You will have to do battle with the lions. If you can defeat them, the ringmaster will give himself up. Okay, so that's how it works then. And if you win, go to 433. So that is, let's see, 8, 9, 7, 8. And I forgot to put the ringmaster in with 8, 6. So we have 2 lions. 8, 9, and 7, 8. Of course, I would have to kill them. So, first one, I've got a 5 skill point advantage. He rolls a 10, I roll a 4. That means that he bites me. 10 and 6. Okay, that is me hitting him. 5, 9, 10, 7. 11. Let's roll that again. 10. And finally, perhaps, he rolls a 5 and I roll a 6, and the first lion is dead. So next one, I've got a 6 skill point advantage. He rolls an 8, I roll a 5. He rolls an 8, I roll an 11. He rolls 4, I roll a 7. And finally, perhaps, he rolls 8 and I roll 6, and he is also dead. Super strength is useful sometimes. So I defeat them both and I go to 433, which is impossible to read there on my map. And then I go 433. This book goes beyond 400. The ringmaster pleads with you not to hand him over to the police. He has no wish to spend any more time in jail. In desperation, he gives you a clue which may or may not be useful. It tells you that the Ice Queen, in the disguise of her alter ego, Sylvia Frost, has bought the Titan Abattoir. Well, I sort of knew that already, didn't I? If you come across evidence of the Ice Queen's activities, deduct 20 from the reference. Did I actually know that, though? Yes, I did. So I already had that clue, actually. It's a duplicate clue. So that is, so clue to Frost minus 20. So where did I get the other clue there again? That was... I can't remember. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so that's where I got the clue about Sylvia Frost. Okay. Right. So I get that clue twice. That is interesting. Now, but that also means that the doing this part is less important than some other bits, potentially, because I'm actually getting a duplicate clue that I could already have got some other way, which makes it less important to do this bit. Anyway, so luck +1, if I needed that. I haven't used luck yet, so luck +1, and the ringmaster is hopeful that you will release him for telling you this news. Of course, you're not willing to bargain with the man. You hand him over to the police and may award yourself 3 hero points. So our hero points are now 8 hero points, and I turn to 148. Let's see, 1, 4, 8, so plus 3 hero points. You change back into your street clothes and set off. A beep, beep, beep sounds. Oh, that's a typo here, actually. Typo. I'll just make a note of that. Typo. A beep, beep, beep sounds from your wrist, or a beep, or beep, beep, beep sounds come from you. Yeah, it's whatever, however you do. Actually, there's 2 typos in a way. A beep, beep, beep sounds from your wrist. As you hold your crime watch up, it speaks to you. Museum of Egyptian Heritage. Do you want to follow this advice and head for the Egyptian Museum downtown? Alternatively, you are now not far from the home of Jerry the Grass. Would you prefer to pay him a call? If so, turn to 38. So I've been here before. 158 Museum. So we've got Museum or Jerry the Grass. So but Jerry the Grass, did I not have him on my map as well somewhere? Definitely visited him before. Jerry, where are you? 38. Oh, there he is. Okay, so right next to the right next to it on the map, actually. I just looked at it too far away. I know he gives you a clue. I can't remember what that is, but I'm going to the museum now because I can still go to Jerry the Grass afterwards, it looks like, and there might still be things to do there that I haven't accomplished yet. So I'm going to go to the Egyptian Museum, so 158, after I take a little sip of water. The Museum of Egyptian Heritage is in the Midtown area. Everything seems perfectly normal when you enter, and you make for the head curator's office. Dr. Kablah is an elderly professor type with white hair and a thick white moustache that hangs over his mouth. He is surprised to see you, but assures you that, as far as he knows, everything is in order. He offers to double-check all his treasures to make sure nothing has disappeared. Do you wish him to do this, or will you ask him to get someone to show you around? So what did I do last time? I asked him to get someone to show me around. So this time I'm going to ask him to check his treasures in case something has disappeared. So 416. He studies the closed-circuit security screens, which are focused on the main treasures of his collection. Everything seems to be in order, but he does study one screen rather closely. It is a figurehead of the god Amun-Ra, festooned with golden jewelry. He is not sure whether there is supposed to be a pair of golden earrings on the idol. Do you want to go and check it, or will you instead check the main exhibit, the sarcophagus of Princess Ancalis? So we have options. Looks like 240 was also an option for the other path, which means that the unique option here is to go and check on the earrings, the missing earrings potentially. So I'm going to go to 385 and check out the earrings of Amun-Ra. Right, 385. You rush to the idol and check for the earrings. There are none there. The professor thumbs through the catalogue to double-check the idol. He snorts. My mistake. Crusader, this idol does not have earrings at all. I'm getting very forgetful in my old age. False alarm. Looks like all is well after all. You decide not to waste any further time here and you leave. 2276. Okay, so that is not the right way to go in that case. Are there any... Is all this museum thing just a red herring? Because that means that because 240 it also said nothing there. I'm just checking now because I don't have any paths on my map there. Okay. It looks like the museum, there's nothing going on there. Right. Where am I? 276, yes. 276. Where to now? You may want to visit the Titan Central Library to do some research in the criminology section, or you could go visit Jerry the Grass. Now, if you go to visit the Grass, he does give you a clue, but I haven't been to the library yet, so I want to go to the library and have a little look and see if I can help me a little bit. So, a huge crowd is gathered round Titan City Library. The police are struggling to keep them away from the building to allow both the army and the fire brigade to get closer. What is happening? Your question is answered when a third-floor window smashes. The smash is followed by screams as two bodies come hurtling out of the broken window, followed by a huge bookshelf. Books and glass rain down on the terrified crowds, not to mention two bodies. Inside you can hear a roar which chills you to the bone. What are people doing standing there anyway? The police chief is glad to see you. We need help, Crusader, he pleads. Some sort of creature is inside there. They've called it the Devastator. Looks like something not of this earth. A huge brute. I'd say it's made from rock. You rush into the building and find the creature on the third floor. Your jaw drops. Indeed, it does seem to be made from rock rather than living flesh. And it stands some 4 meters high. Something has enraged it and it is destroying everything in sight, pushing over huge shelves of books and smashing tables and chairs. If you have super strength, 23, 78, etc. So let's see. Okay, just put the options up here. So 378, ETS 421. Psi powers 192. If you have energy blast 363. If you don't think you can handle this creature, you can leave by turning to 319. Okay, so failure is actually an option here. Let's do like so. So we have 192 psi powers, 378 strength, ETS 41 ETS, 363 energy blast, and 319 leave. It sounds like super strength might work here, but I think this could actually still be quite a tough fight if that's what I'm going to use, because I mean, I've only got 13 skill, and looking at this creature, he should really have more than that. Anyway, I'm going to use my super strength and see if that makes a difference. 378. Yes, it does have more than that. So you fly up in front of the Devastator and land a heavy blow in its chest. The creature groans and turns to face you. The Devastator, skill 14, stamina 12. So this will go well, most likely, because he's only got 12 stamina, but this will be a tough fight. It's got 17 stamina. Have I not been able to... Because I've been through a paragraph where I was at home, and normally you would have got stamina back, but it seems that that wasn't part of the paragraph in that case. So, we are now 14, 12, fighting 13, 17. So I need to use luck possibly in this battle. So he's got 1 skill point advantage on me. And he rolls 5. I roll 11. It's a good start. He rolls 7. I roll a 7. So that means he hits me. He rolls 7. I roll 10. Should I use luck? I should use luck to do some extra damage. My luck is 11. And I roll 8. My luck goes down to 10. And I'll do 2 extra damage on him, so he's now down to 6. He rolls 11. I roll 11, so that means he hits me. He rolls 3. Good. I roll 9, and I'm going to use luck again. Yep. So he's down to 2. I presume this one I have to actually kill him because he's a monster. Let's just see what happens, because I just presume now that he will try to kill me. Yeah, it's not someone I can turn in. It's not someone I can knock unconscious, so I'll have to kill him completely. He rolls an 8. I roll a 6. He rolls 6, and I roll 8. So that is the final blow. He is defeated. Now I've only got 11 stamina left, which isn't that much. I better get lots of hero points for this. Right, so if you defeat it, turn to... let's put it here. So that is a 14, 12, and then 119 for defeating it. You are greeted by heroic applause from the crowd as you step from the library. The struggle has been a tough one, but you have defeated the strange creature. You may award yourself 5 hero points for the victory. So that brings my hero point score up to 13. I think that may be the best I've got. Then turn to 319. Okay, so 319. So plus 5 hero points, and then we go to 319, and that is not something that's here, is it? No. Okay. You had better avoid any more super exploits for a while. Do you want to pay a visit to your elderly aunt's house, or will you go downtown to police headquarters to check that you are not required for any other duties? Now this is one where I've seen before. 134, that is over there. So 319 leads me to, let's see, let's do a line over there, down there, and it is these two options here. Now, if I do go to the police, I think they tell me that there isn't anything going on, and so I can go to my aunt's house. So I'm going to go to my aunt's house right away. 134. Your aunt lives in Cockney Green, a pleasant suburban district to the east of the Titan Centre. The bus drops you off at Cockney Cemetery, leaving you with a 5-minute walk to her house. Will you take a leisurely stroll around the outside of the cemetery, or will you take a shortcut through it? Now, if you take a shortcut through it, you do actually bump into a monster that you need to defeat, and that it doesn't seem to get you anything at all for defeating it. So I am going to stroll around the outside of the cemetery, so 219. The cool air is refreshing and allows you to gather your thoughts. You must anticipate the F.E.A.R meeting if you are to prevent their master plan from succeeding. I don't have any clues to that yet. If only you knew where it was to be held. And thump. You feel a heavy blow across the back of your head and you drop to your knees. A rough accent says, "Don't get the money and let's get going, quick." I don't know, is that a rough accent? Hands through your pockets for your cash. Though groggy, you know what is happening. You are being mugged. You could, if you wish, fight back, but that would mean you having to reveal your secret identity. Would it? Really? I mean, people fight back all the time without revealing their secret identities. Also, there's a typo there, but I'm not going to go into that now. Just making notes of it because I like making notes of typos. Or it's not a typo, but it's a writing inconsistency, you might say. Or you could let them think they have knocked you out. You have very little money on you anyway. Will you fight back or let them rob you? That is a bizarre kind of choice, I guess. So we have, oops. So either I let them rob me, which is 279, rob, or 230, fight back. Well, the thing is, I'm not revealing my secret identity because they don't really know who I am, do they? But the thing is, they would recognize my face. That wouldn't be good. So I'm going to let them rob me. 279. You fake unconsciousness and, seething inwardly, let them take the money that they are after. A car pulls up and they leap inside. Cursing about how little they have taken, you memorize the number. The police can handle this one. Lose 2 stamina points for the blow on the head and turn to 76. So my stamina is now only 9. That's not very good, is it? So go to 76, it says. Excuse me. And do I have a 76? I do have a 76. Okay, so 76. So that's 76. Okay. That is next page again. Your Aunt Florence is overjoyed to see you, but wonders why you are looking so untidy. She fusses about making you tea and offering you cream cakes. That sounds very nice, actually. You are exhausted by the day's activities and are happy to let her fuss. You decide to spend the night there rather than face the long journey home. Next morning is, thank goodness, a Saturday. no work. Not that you go to work anyway. If indeed you still have a job left to go back to at all. You leave your aunts and you must now decide where you will go. There is an exhibition of home appliances. Still, again, I've spent the night and I'm not getting stamina back. So there's a little bit of inconsistency there too, because in some places you get stamina back and others you don't. Anyway, there is an exhibition of home appliances of the future at the World's Court Exhibition Centre. You may go there by turning to 425. Or you may go to watch the presidential cavalcade on 7th Avenue. Of course, this time I don't have the clue to stop the assassination attempts, so I probably won't do that. Alternatively, the Titan Tigers are playing a friendly football game against the Metro Mohawks. If you want to go and watch this, turn to 114. So I've got um, 425, I suppose, is the only thing I haven't done here before. So I've done the game. There's somebody I can fight there and I get hero points and stuff. Although I might actually die if I do that. So I'm going to go to the 425. What was it called again? Home Appliances of the Future show. So 425. That is the one I haven't seen. There we are. I'm sure there's something happening there too. The crowds are gathering. There's a nice illustration there. It looks like a robot is going to go rogue. The crowds are gathering to get into the exhibition, and a huge banner proclaims appliances of the future. See tomorrow's home technology today. As you wander through the exhibitions, there are many excited voices enthusing over the more ambitious gadgets on show. The clothing service station, for example, is a machine which takes in dirty washing and cleans, dries, and irons it. Ready to wear. A cocktail composer puts together all the ingredients of a cocktail. The perfect opponent is a games playing computer which can learn the rules of any game and will play at 8 different levels of skill. Robots are there in many forms. A tidy maid remembers where everything goes in a room and will replace everything in its proper position. On a large stand, a man with round glasses and a loud voice is demonstrating his firm's tireless butler, a man-sized android which will do many home chores. You stare at him. His face looks familiar, but you can't quite place him. The android passes him a cigarette as he is bending down, but catches his hair and moves it slightly. A wig. Of course. With a bald head, his identity is obvious. Yeah, because there's only one bald person in the world, isn't there? Although he is not easy to recognize without the cybernetic enhancers he wears on his arms and his distinctive and very dangerous eye goggles, it most certainly is Vladimir Utoshsky, head of F.E.A.R. You quickly nip away. Nipping again? Yeah, second nip today. I forgot to do the first nip, by the way, but that's another nip. You nip away to change into the Silver Crusader and return to capture the villain. But he is quick. He sees you coming, flicks a switch at the back of the android, and darts off into the crowd. A whirring sound comes from the android. It turns towards a man studying its arm and smashes him across the face with a powerful blow. Screams break out and the android goes berserk, charging into the crowd, arms flailing. Will you pursue Itoshki, or is your first duty to save the visitors from the mad android? Now, it seems obvious now, doesn't it, that pursuing Itoshki will not lead to anything because you don't know where the meeting is, and this is the only way to win the game, I would presume. So it would be a little bit weird if you can go after Itoshki now and defeat him and thus win the game. That doesn't make any sense. So, might still try though. So it's 387. Utoshki or a 62. Save visitors. Now this is where the first time I think I'll do a save game. I'll do a finger just to have a little look at the options. So I'm going to see what happens if you pursue Otoshki first, because it doesn't seem like the thing that I should be doing, just to see if it works. You race after Otoshki through the milling crowd and catch a glimpse of him leaving the exhibition through a fire door. You follow him into an alley. He is nowhere to be seen. He must have run to one end of the alley into the street. Will you try turning left or right? So we've got 3, 5, 6 left and 324 right. I'm going to turn right. You emerge from the alley into a crowded street and look left and right. Damn, you cannot see him. You run a few paces along the street to search for any signs of him, but it is hopeless. He has escaped. Turn to 75. So let's see, 75. I'm sort of wondering whether the other option actually would help you either. Probably he would escape there too. I'm just guessing now. Yes. So the other one, it says, you emerge from the alley into a crowded street and look left and right. Damn, you cannot see him. You run a few paces along, etc. It's exactly the same paragraph, and you are taken to 75. So that is not the right option, and it didn't seem right. So I'm going to go back and do what is the only right thing to do, which is to save the crowd. So 62. The scene is one of mayhem. Injured people lie on the ground around the stand and others are panicking, trying to get away from the dangerous machine. If you have ETS, turn to 186. If you have super strength, 116. I'll just put those down here now. 1, 2, 3, and 4 options. So 186 ETS, 116 strength, 282 psi powers, and 304 energy blasts. Energy is how I usually write that. So super strength 116 coming up. Let's have a little look. So you fly into the air over the android, grab it and hoist it up out of harm's way into the roof of the building. Finding a clear spot, you release it. Crashes down to the ground and fizzles, its broken limbs twitching harmlessly. You search for Vladimir Utoshsky from your vantage point, but can see no sign of him and return to the stand. No one is now manning the stand, and you start rummaging through Utoshsky's papers to see if you can find any clues. Only one piece of paper looks interesting. It is from the Parker Airport Authority, advising him that his booking requirements have been made. Okay, so the airport is probably the location then. You also find a small pen-like gadget in the box labeled Circuit Jammer. You decide it could be quite useful and take it with you. At 4 hero points. So my hero points are now at 17, which is definitely a record. Let's see, so plus 4 hero points and clue. So that is Parker Airport. And also there's a circuit jam. I'll just put that on my character sheet. Your job done here. You leave Wells Court, turn to 75. Okay, so 75. Remember that the president is coming to Titan City today. Do you want to go down to 7th Avenue to watch the presidential cavalcade? We can still do that then. If so, turn to 21. If you would rather not, you can go to watch your favorite football team, the Titan Tigers, play the Metro Mohawks instead. Now, I suppose that what makes the most sense, I know that if I go to see the football game, there is going to be a battle that's going to be quite hard. I've got 13 skill and 9 stamina left, and I'm going to fight someone with 12 skill and 14 stamina, so that is the only thing happening. I will get hero points. I'm not fussed about the hero points. I will go to the presidential cavalcade. So just put my options up here on the map. Maybe go back to black again now. So 114 for the game. So let's just do like so. And okay. The citizens of Titan City have turned out in their thousands to greet the president. They line both sides of 7th Avenue 6 deep, and the presidential car is still not due to arrive for half an hour. Spirits are high. There is much flag waving and bands are playing in the streets as a prelude to the arrival. Will you spend the next half hour in a coffee bar waiting for the main procession to arrive, or will you find a place in the crowd? Which offers a decent view. I'm going to go to the coffee bar. So 100. Manny's coffee shop has never been so busy. The excitement surrounding the president's arrival has brought all sorts of people to the streets. You sit down at a table next to a man wearing a shabby brown overcoat, and the two of you are soon talking. The man is very drunk and says more than he should. It seems that he has connections with the underworld and that slips some information. Apparently, the ocean behemoth has been seen in Titan Harbor, and the man knows the purpose of the huge fish creature's visit. It seeks revenge on the one who defeated it a year ago. That person was none other than yourself. Of course not. You remember the encounter well. It is a huge water-spawned creature which cannot be allowed to enter Titan City. You make a mental note to explore the harbor as soon as you can. Now turn to 157. Okay, 157. While you're trying to pry more information out of the man, you forget about the time. Suddenly, the noise from the crowd outside swells up. The president is arriving. You leave the table and push your way out into the street, but before you can catch a glimpse of the procession, a loud crack sounds, followed by shouts and screams. You freeze. Surely not. That crack sounded like a gunshot, and from the reaction of the crowd, your fears could well have been realized. You nip inside a doorway, third nip today, and change into the Silver Crusader. When you fight your way through the crowds to the president's car, it is all over. He has been shot neatly through the chest and killed immediately. The bullet has been dug out of the car seat, and you turn it over in your hand. 4 letters are engraved in it: F.E.A.R. The outlawed organization has succeeded in assassinating the president. You must capture the heads of F.E.A.R at their meeting before they are able to wreak any more havoc on the world. Turn to 311. So, right, there we are. I don't know why they would go to the bother of doing that, though, because they're destroying the city the next day anyway. Anyway, you set off home to take some well-deserved rest. The prospect of F.E.A.R meeting is weighing heavily on your mind, but for the moment you are well advised to relax for the evening. You may gain 6 stamina points for taking it easy. Yep, I don't really need those probably because, but I'm up to 15 again. Next morning you are woken not by the alarm clock, but by your crime watch. Beep, beep, beep. This time, the message is longer than normal and it repeats itself. Reliable information, F.E.A.R meeting today, whereabouts, unknown. You spring out of bed. Today, do you have any clues as to where the meeting is? Where will you go? So, I'm quite confident now it is Parker Airport. So, I'm going to Parker Airport. 3:49. Everything is normal at the airport as you arrive. You do not want to cause any panic, so you change into your street clothes and proceed with your plan. You may head for one of the 3 hangars to look for clues. Xavier Hangar is where private and executive jets are kept. Summers Hangar houses emergency helicopters. McCoy Hangar is for cargo aircraft. Which will you investigate? Now, was there anything in the clue about that will give me a clue as to where? I don't think so. It just said its booking requirements have been made. Right. What was 220? I'm just trying to figure out what's on my map now from last time. Oh, yeah, that's just a missing arrow there. Okay, so I know it's not Xavier hangar because I've done that one before, which means it is either Summers or McCoy. I don't know, cargo aircraft. This sounds like the most obvious place to do it. So I'm going to go to the McCoy hangar today and see what happens there. 115. You find a pair of overalls and mixed with a cargo crew unloading the 3 aircraft inside the hangar. There is nothing suspicious about the crew or the cargo, but you expected this. In fact, you are not expecting anything to happen for a couple of hours. What time of day are you expecting the meeting to take place? Add this time to today's date and add the result to this reference. Aha. If the resulting reference makes no sense, etc. Okay, so this one is date plus time, so date. Now, the time and the date is something I'm sure I had the first time I was playing the game. So, where did I get that clue? Just so I can plan for my next time now. So, there was something about first clue. Was it the first clue? There's a clue there. There's a clue here. I'll have to look into that because this indicates to me that I am actually not too far off now for next time, not this time, obviously, for getting it. Let's check out the Xavier Airport now, 394, just to see if that was... okay, that is the same kind of clue, actually. Xavier hangar has exactly the same clue, which indicates to me it doesn't actually matter what hangar you go to at the airport. You just need the date and the time, as long as you know to go to the airport. And the same thing for the 46. Okay, just to check now. So that means that all of these hangars are exactly the same. You either go to 220 for not knowing, or you have the date and the time, and that is your clue. That may then be the correct thing to do, possibly. There were some other... Yeah, anyway, so that means that what I need is the date and the time, basically. Right, so yeah, let's just go through the motions here now. So we're going to 220. You wait for some time, but nothing happens. Eventually you give up. Puzzled about the whole affair, you decide to leave the airport and catch a taxi home. The driver has his radio on. As he chats away, the radio splutters and fizzles. The music dies, and an unscheduled announcement interrupts the program. Turn to 292. A steely voice with a sinister tone speaks slowly and clearly. Citizens of the world, it announces, do not attempt to retune your receivers. This message is being broadcast on all frequencies simultaneously, in all languages to all areas of the globe. My name is Vladimir Utroshsky. I am known as the Titanium Cyborg. My organization is known to you as the Federation of Euro-American Rebels. My message is this. We have taken control of the Star Wars satellite, which orbits the Earth. We demand the unconditional surrender of all your governments and military establishments and the submission of all citizens to our leadership. Any resistance will be dealt with harshly. Our satellite will obliterate one by one the major cities of the Earth. As proof of what would be left to take over then? Anyway, as proof of our power, Titan City will be exterminated in exactly 30 seconds. Your heart sinks. You have failed to stop the fateful meeting of F.E.A.R. The whole world must now pay the penalty. So there we are. You are responsible for the end of the world, as it were. So there we go. So, interestingly, of course, now, if the airport is the correct location for this, all I need is the date and time. Did I get the date and time at the same place, or did I get the date and the time separately? I can't remember for sure now, but there is a place where you get the date and time. So that is going to be my mission next time, is to make sure that I get to this piece here safely, and also make sure that I know the clue to the time and date. And I'm sure I've had those before, so that means I just have to examine my map a little bit and find out where to get them. So there we are. Perhaps my next playthrough will be the last one of Appointment with Fear, and probably about time too. I've played it quite a few times now. It is, yeah, I've really enjoyed playing this book, so but I'm looking forward to the next one too. So it has to finish sometime. So thank you very much for watching. If you watched all this way through, I do apologize again for the video feed disappearing for a little while there. It's one of the hazards of recording things, and it's the EU's fault actually. Generally I'm pro EU, but in this case I'm actually against EU because they are the ones who ruined it for everyone with the rules about video cameras and stills cameras and the different levies on them. But be that as it may. So I'll see you next time. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all those things if you enjoyed this video, and join me on Patreon if you also want to support my work and see more videos from me. Well, maybe not more videos, but you know what I mean. You'll encourage me to make more, and I will put even more effort into it if I get patrons on Patreon. So yeah. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now. I'll see you next time when I play Appointment with Fear again.